can do it.
Oh, lost
Look
it.
at that. I planned that the whole time.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Michael with RC Crawling and Dustin. Today, more scx30 content. We are going to replace the stock links with links from the Stainless 24. John, thanks for hooking me up with these at Texas Crawl Fest. I know it was a bit of a drive out there. Let's go ahead and dive into it. I will show you all the tips and tricks I know and have learned from using the same links on my XJ build. It's a good improvement, helps increase rear clearance, and gives a nice flat approach to the skid on the front. Well, let's go ahead and dive into this and get those links swapped out. Let's go ahead and take a look at what comes with these stainless 24 links. That is a rear uppers, rear lower, steering link, which I am not going to use because I have already done a brass steering link from Endura, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. Front uppers and front lowers. One thing that I noticed about the front lowers is one side is flush across and one side has a bump. So when I installed mine, I installed it to be flush, so there's less stuff to hang up on, but there are these machining marks. So I'm going to go ahead and file those off. And I'm just using one of these cheap files from Harbor Freight. And it just takes a little bit of working at it. And then you can polish that off. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare these links before I install them by filing off those machining marks. I've got those machining marks filed off. It'll just give you a better chance of not catching on the rocks once we've got these installed. We're going to start with the rear axle. So I'm just going to take the wheels and tires off. John does offer scx30 links in extended versions. You can get +3 for the front and +6 millimeters for the rear. So you can mix and match and create the wheelbase that you need for your body and your build. Super cool. John had a really neat hard body Tacoma scx30 out there that I got to see in action. We crawled together on an indoor course that somebody had out there with my XJ and his Tacoma. They looked really cool on the rocks together. And John told me the best way to work on these is to completely remove the axle. So I'm going to do that first. Of course, we're going to take the shocks off. And then I'm going to unscrew the ball joints and these ball joints from the axle to get the axle off. And then we'll jump back in and I'll show you the easiest way to unscrew the links from the skid, because it can be a little tricky. All right, we've got our rear axle removed completely. So that's what we've got left after taking it off. The links are still on the chassis. And one thing John wanted me to point out is these links, these rear uppers, should go so the twist makes them close together. So I've laid them out so they're closest together. I think I got it right on my first attempt. This one may be a little off, but it runs fine, so I'm going to leave it. But when you're doing yours, make sure that you get your links arranged so they are closer together rather than farther apart. So to install the rear links, we're going to use the longer screws that were provided. And it does come with all the hardware you're going to need. And I'm going to run the screw through the link, add an O-ring, and a spacer. So you're going to stack it just like that. And then that's going to go right here. And another point to be careful about, if you screw this down snug, your link cannot flex. So you don't want that. That's why we're using the longer screw. We're going to back it out just a little bit. And now we've got nice, good movement. And so you can adjust this to your desired amount of movement just by tightening that screw. I think that looks pretty good. We don't need a crazy amount. That should work just fine. Now we'll do the second one. Take the long screw, O-ring, and spacer. And that screws right through the diff cover. Those look pretty much the same as far as getting the screws at the same amount to make sure one side is not tighter or looser than the other. That feels pretty good. We're going to set that aside for now. And we're going to take a look at getting the links out of the skid plate. Well, this is the bit that can be frustrating and tricky to get these screws out. Let's go for this one first. Let me switch to a smaller driver. You are going to need small precision Phillips screwdrivers to work on these things. There we go. A lot of people run into this issue. It's partially unscrewed, but will not come out anymore. Just grab the link and give it a twist. And that puts just enough pressure on it to allow it to continue to unthread. And so it pops out easily just like that. And there's your link. I'm going to continue to do that on all 4 rear links. Now here is our stock upper rear link. That part we're not using anymore, but we are going to pop the little ball ends, ball joints, I'm not sure what the proper term is for that, out of this link, and they are going to slide into our new links to make sure we don't have too much play. The best way I've found to do that just a pair of needle nose pliers. Just get it lined up so you can push that through. And they pop out. If you lose those, oh crap. If you lose it like that, there will be lots of wailing and gnashing of teeth, so don't do that. I don't know how to get replacements. All right, found the little ball end, got the other one popped out, crisis averted, we're good to go. So I'm going to start by attaching the uppers. And that was the short screw. This bit is a little tricky. It would help if I had 3 or 4 hands. That ball end, we're going to nestle right in there. This one's a bit tight, which is no issue. Some of them slide right in, some of them are a bit tight. I'm just going to take one of these round files and just open up this link in just a smidge. Don't overdo it. You don't want to create a weak point. And you don't want it too big because then you're going to have too much slop in your links. Let's do a little bit more. I'm happy with that. It fits in there nicely. And the real trick is to get that lined up and screwed in without losing your ball end again. Ball joint, whatever that thing is. I did not do O-rings on any of my links here. They wobble, but I've got no side-to-side play to speak of. Maybe a bit. So if you wanted to throw an O-ring, especially on these lower links, we might do that on this one. But no complaints with the way that handles an axe. And this is the bit that can make you a little crazy. If you find yourself getting frustrated, just take a break. It'll be here when you get back. Dropped both my screws. So I'm going to find my hardware and try again. All right, attempting this again and doing the smarter thing, starting that screw so it's not something I also have to get lined up in the middle of working with these tiny, tiny pieces. Got that lined up. I know you can't really see what I'm doing. I was using the link to push that little ball joint into place because it fits pretty snug in the skid. And hopefully we are lined up right. Seems like we are. Mostly. I've got it started, but you can see it's not completely lined up. I'll just give it a little tug. There we go. And that is snug and attached. Let's do the other side. Finally, success. Got those rear links on. Seems to move as freely as we would like it to. now we're going to do the lower links. So bend towards the axle. Those are... What's going on here? So this is cool. Don't do what I did. My rear links won't fit because these are the front upper links. That's a bonehead move. So I'm going to swap these out off camera for the correct rear links. Just make sure you line up your links before you start the job, like I did not do. All right, back to good. Little bonus wrenching never killed anybody. So we are going to now move on to the rear links that do fit. So bend towards the axle. And we are going to take all the hardware from the lower rears. So pliers. And just carefully pull that through. I am saving these. If you didn't want to mess with it, just cut that with some flush cuts if you don't feel like pulling these out. And then carefully, so you don't lose the ball joint. Pop that out. We'll make sure these fit, and it does. Our shock will go on there. Let's see what I did on this one. Did I do O-rings? I didn't, but let's do an O-ring on this one. Before we get to that, pull that back out. Make sure our little ball joint fits. I'd like a little bit better clearance, so I'm going to file that. There we go. That fits in there evenly. Let's add our O-ring on the shock side. Just want to be careful that you're not poking through, because then you're going to never get your ball joint lined up. Now you could add an O-ring here. I'm going to not, because I don't want to fight with it. Links. They're a bit tight, so I'm just going to file it just a touch. So those ball joints don't pop in under force. They just kind of slide in easier. It's way easier to get them to line up correctly and doesn't hamper performance. Come on, baby. That thing is just not going to get lined up right. So pull it. All right, you want to fight? We're going to bring the file back. Let's do that one. This file has a little bit of a bow. So it just helps take out plastic right where you... If you're not feeling your screw snug down, it's probably because you're not lined up on that side. I just wiggle it and try it again. And once I feel it snug, you know you've got it right. So I'm going to do the other side, and then we'll tackle the front links. There we go. New links on the rear. No clearance issues. Plenty of flex. These are the Injora 22.5 millimeter. So I did not go with crazy flex, you 26 millimeter mad guys out there. That gives a good look at the link setup. So quite a bit of clearance now under the rear end. Brings those links up to the drive shaft. Of course, I don't have it fully installed. Waiting on a Furatech Unity Torque. The one I got for this had some issues, so doing a replacement. Just waiting for that one to show up. Let's get started on the fronts. I'm going to pull the wheels off, and then I don't think I need to show how to pull the servo off and all that since I've done a servo video. So I'm going to get this prepped for us to start installing the front links. This is a good and gross reminder to do the maintenance, especially on these little guys that are so much fun to run indoors. If you have animals or long-haired people in your house, it's going to get bad fast. So pull your wheels off, clean your hubs every once in a while. All right, front axle is removed. Left it as assembled as we could. Of course, we have to take the servo off to get it to release fully. Got our upper links prepped and ready to go. Did all the filing and prepping on the skid plate that makes it a little bit easier to get those ball joints in. It is so much easier to install the links onto the skid when they're free and independent. So we're going to try that. I've not done that yet just because you have to screw the axle onto them from the top, but we can work with that. Let's give that a shot, see if it makes it a whole lot easier. And again, I have laid these links out and compared them. You want the rails of the links to be closest together so you have enough clearance to flex. And I will show what that looks like once we get these installed. That's a little bit easier when you have full range of motion to manipulate that link and the ball end. I say that. There we go, one down. Got both front links on, and so what I've done is make sure the twist in the link just brings them towards the center. I think that's the correct way to do it. It's worked on my other build. So let's go ahead and get the axle attached. On my current build that we're copying, I did not do an O-ring, so I'm not going to do an O-ring on this one. So we're going to take our short screw, what do you guys think? I actually enjoy using this little axial tool that came with the 30 rather than getting my 8-bit set out. I've got the dropsies today. Having a hard time. It was so much easier to get these links on with the skid first. And we're just going to screw the axle on here. Same as the rear. You don't want to tighten down all the way, because then you'll have no movement and no flex. And I just try to make sure the screw heads are about the same height. so I don't have more or less movement on one side. That feels about right. So I'm going to pop the other joints out of the links, get them prepped for the lower links, and get those thrown on. Way back at the beginning of this video, we talked about these front lower links. This is where the orientation matters, at least to me. You've got this dip here, which I don't want facing down because it just gives another edge to catch on when you're crawling. So that's why we filed off the machine marks on this side. So when we go to install our link, put our little ball joint in. And this is so much easier to attach these to the skid plate first. So that's what I would recommend. It's not what I did at the beginning. There we go. You just kind of gently work on it to get it to line up. And you can feel that screw grab and tighten down again. There it goes. So now, at the skid, you've got a nice flat continuous line with nothing to hang on. That is what I recommend for these front lower links. I'm also going to do the same as the rear with the stock screw ball joint combo and an O-ring towards the shock side, so you can put that on right before you put on the shock rather than like I've done now. Well, there's 3 out of 4. I'm going to do the other side, get the shocks put back on, the servo screwed back in, and we'll take a look at it. Here we are all back together. Quite a bit of clearance in the rear, nice front, smooth. Got parts falling out. Nice front, smooth front link setup, which I like. Just take a look at this all together without the wheels on for better visuals. But no issues with clearance on either side at full articulation. Come on, focus. And it does matter how you install these. As you can see, there's some tight tolerances in here. So unfortunately, this one can't be run since we're waiting on a motor. But other than the body and shock placement, wheels and tires, these are identical builds. So I'm going to throw a battery in this and we'll go run this just to show what these links are like out on the rocks. The stair steps, I think, are going to be a good place to demonstrate the clearance of these links. The stair steps are not easy for the 24s or some of the 18s even. We're running the Injora 34mm Mavericks. Come on, baby. As you can see, that extra little clearance really helps. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this has been helpful. I know a lot of people are coming to crawling because of the scx30. Don't be intimidated by all the steps taken to install these links. They're wonderful links. You're going to get the best performance by following this install process that you possibly can out of them. It's a hobby. It's meant to fill up our time. These 30s will do that. Hope this helps somebody. Hope it was fun. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. The cats are carrying on right now. I think I will do a build breakdown of that red scx30 XJ. I've been teasing it for a while, and I think we should finally get around to it. So I will catch you again soon in the next video.